What is a box plot? A box plot shows the relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variable, but it also shows distribution within each value of the independent variable. This box plot shows, for example, the relationship between census region, and this is the state's data set, which is on the horizontal axis, census region, and a 10%, which is the percentage of the population that frequently attends religious services. Let's look at inside one of the boxes here. This is the southern region. This is a distribution of states on a 10%. The dark horizontal line within each box is the median value in that value of the independent variable. So for example, it looks like the median value in the south is a little bit less than 49% attend religious services frequently. The edges of the box, of each box, are the quartiles. The bottom edge here is the first quartile, also known as the lower quartile. This is the point at which 25% of the cases in the data set fall below the lower quartile. So it's the same as the 25th percentile. The upper edge of the box is the 75th percentile, or the upper quartile. 25% of the cases lie above the upper quartile. So the box itself encompasses, if you will, the middle half of the distribution. So you get a real clear idea from the length of the box just how spread out that middle half is in each value. The hinges, they're called hinges. This is the lower hinge. This is the upper hinge. These encompass the range of the data, the lowest value here and the highest value here. If you have cases that lie more than 1.5 interquartile ranges above the upper quartile or below the lower quartile, those are outliers. And you can see in SPSS, the outliers are signified by stars. These are called extreme outliers, or circles, just regular outliers. For example, you see in the West that Utah is an extreme outlier with almost 60% of its population regularly attends religious services. Idaho's up there. It looks like Alaska is a lower outlier. For comparisons, one more point here, and then we'll create this box plot. You can see, for example, that we were just talking about the West. Look how compact the western states are. They have a fairly low median on this value. It looks like, I don't know, around 32, 33%. And they're fairly cohesive within that range. I mean, right around that median. There's just not a lot of variation at a very quite low value. And then, of course, we discussed the outliers. The southern states, by contrast, are much more spread out. In fact, it would appear they have the longest interquartile range, also called the IQR. And their extreme values, the maximum and minimum values, encompass between, say, about 35% and about 60%. So they have the highest median in the South, but they also would appear to have the greatest variation. Let's recreate this box plot. It's fairly straightforward. Go to Graphs, Legacy Dialogues, go down here to Box Plot. You can click through, as always, the first window. We don't have to do any changes yet. In the variable box goes the variable we're interested in, the dependent variable in this case, which is going to be attend% right here. This is the percentage of the population that frequently attends religious services. This is out of the this is by the Pew Foundation. That goes here. Category axis, as always, is the independent variable. We can see that's region. And a handy thing to use is label cases by. If you have in your data set a variable that has alpha codes, that is names, it's often very useful to click that in the label cases by. In the state data set, you can use state, that's the whole state name, or state ID, that's the 2-letter summary abbreviation of the state. So that goes in label cases by. That's all there is to it. Click OK. And there's the box plot recreated. You might apply some of your new editing skills and get into the plot and make some appearance enhancing change. If you do, you might end up with a box plot that looks something like this.